You're getting ready to prepare to appear before a promotion or competition board, and you're trying to figure out what subject areas you need to start with and or which subject areas you need to spend the most time with. This is a question that gets asked by probably every single person before they appear before the board. And nobody seems to really have the right answer. But it's super simple and it's super easy. And I'm going to tell you what it is. And I'm going to tell you why. So I want you to grab hold of that MOI and I want you to look at it, right? Obviously, it lists all the subject areas and you need to study all of them. But where you need to start and which areas you need to spend the most time with. You know your battalion better than I do, right? You know your command sergeant major and you know your first sergeant and you have seen the other first sergeants in your battalion. And I want you to look at how each of those first sergeants conducts themselves on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you only see them at battalion formations. Maybe you only see them during accountability formations down the formation line, as it were, if you're doing larger formations. How do they act? I want you to talk to those board recorders in S1 and say, how do these first sergeants act in the boards? Talk to your NCOs and say, what has been your experience when you've encountered these particular first sergeants? Some first sergeants by nature are a little bit more gruff, right? They're a little more spunky. They got a little bit more attitude. Maybe they're old crusty dudes. I don't know anybody like that. And some of them, by their own nature, are teddy bears. And they just want everybody to have a great golden day. Some people may act like gatekeepers, and some people may act like, well, I'm more concerned about your potential than your performance. And as you look at your battalion on that MOI and you look at each subject area that these first sergeants have, look at those first sergeants and say which ones are angry first sergeants, right? Which ones you may call them gatekeepers. Which ones may be gatekeepers? Which ones yell more than the other ones? Which ones are nicer and which ones are meaner, right? And the ones that you deem based off of your experience in your battalion, whether it's through your own experiential experience or by talking again to the S1 board recorders or talking to your fellow NCOs, the ones that you have deemed are the ones who are going to give you the most trouble with. That's where you need to have more stuff in the bank. Look at their subject areas and spend a little bit more time with their areas. Because here's what happens. You're in a board and you don't know where it's going to begin. You don't know which company is going to begin questioning. You don't know if it's going to be shotgun or non. But either way about it, when it gets to that first sergeant and they start asking you questions, if you get on the I don't know choo-choo train, they're just not going to give you a no-go. They're going to make you break down because you're already broken down. All they're really doing is just shining this light on yourself, and you're going to reflect back, I am not ready. So that is definitely one of them. The other one is your own first sergeant. Like, you have to be able to represent your company well because you're not just representing yourself. I mean, you are, but you're not, right? So don't walk in there and tell your own first sergeant, I don't know, and expect them to say, well, you're obviously a great soldier. I've seen you out in the field, so I'm going to give you a go. If that happens, that's the wrong answer. But odds are that is not what is going to happen. They are potentially, because I've done it, when I've had a soldier or an NCO come appear before the board and they've sat down and I started off and they gave me a ton of I don't knows, I asked the CSM to dismiss them. Like, just get this person out of here and I will correct this deficiency later. So you have to get your first sergeant down solid, and you have to get that first sergeant that you are most concerned about down solid, and then work on the other two. Now, the last one that you have to get right is that command sergeant major. You cannot answer "I don't know" to your own command sergeant major. That's not an okay thing. That's not acceptable. You have to be more prepared than that. So look at the MOI and look at the areas. There are probably things like current events, which are not going to be, a typical question, but you have to research some current events and be able to talk to them. You have to, probably has the creeds on there, right? So you have to get the creeds right. I mean, if you can't say the soldier's creed and the creed of the non-commissioned officer correctly to standard with a little bit of confidence, then you probably don't need to be sitting there. You have to know your Army values. You should know things like your general orders, and you should know your chain of command and your NCO support channel. You do all those things, you probably have your CSM down right. And now you have your first sergeant down right. And you have that other first sergeant that you may have been most concerned about down. Now, those are two. Now, all you need is just one more, because the CSM is a non-voting member, right? Except in the event of a tie. So you have your first sergeant down. You have that angry first sergeant down. All you need is one more, and you're going to be a G, and you'll be G to G. Now, you can't have an entire rack of questions under this other first sergeant that you say "I don't know" to. If you said all the right answers to 3 board members, but one was a complete hot mess, that is not a recipe for success. It's not. So make sure that you study all of the subject areas and that you're most prepared for your first sergeant, for that CSM, and for that one first sergeant that you're most concerned about. You do that, and you're probably going to be all right. So, team, I hope this helps you out as you prepare for your own promotion board, or as you're helping one of your soldiers prepare for their promotion or competition board. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.